Welcome to So Over It, the podcast where science meets spirituality. Get ready to explore the hidden truths of health optimization, wellness, spirituality, and empowerment. We are your hosts, Taylor and Abby Scarpello. Let's dive in.
On today's episode, we bring on guest Emily Miotto, fellow theta healer practitioner, instructor, and mama of one little light worker. She's on a mission to take the guessing game out of raising New Earth children through energy healing. She focuses on aligning the energetics of mom and baby to nurture the sacred bond between the two and guide mom into supporting their child's spiritual development with trust and confidence. She is so passionate about discussing the agenda that is being pushed and has many harmful and long-term effects on both mom and baby.
Emily has helped countless mamas through her one-on-one mastermind, self-led courses, and countless free offerings to heal their own life to become the cycle breakers of generational trauma, step into the divine role as a mother, and feel empowered knowing they have the tools and techniques to heal their children and support their spiritual development. So grab your pen, crystal, coffee, or mocktail as we dive in because this episode is an eye-opener.
Welcome, Emily, to Soul Over It. We're so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here and to talk all things New Earth kids and mom and child bond and whatever else we're channeled to talk about today. So thank you.
You are so welcome. We're so excited. So I do have to remind you a little backstory. So 2 years ago, almost to the day, was when I did my theta healing training with you. And this is when I actually told Jordan, your husband, that his first child was going to be a baby girl. And then I believe it was that next day was when you told me you were pregnant. So here we are 2 years later, pretty much to the day, speaking about your baby. And it gives me chills that we're here. So it's such a beautiful full circle moment.
Yeah, and let me tell you, the past 2 years have been an interesting journey of just entering into motherhood and just seeing all the things that I guess my parents did with me that I was like, this isn't working. This is not, I have to change things. So much healing for myself, healing for my daughter. It's been quite a journey. So I'm excited to talk more about what actually happened and hopefully help another mom along their journey as well.
So I guess the big question, what is it that you are soul over?
I am soul over moms being disconnected from their intuition. I am soul over moms feeding into the fear and the hidden agenda to separate mom and child and everything that goes along with that.
So what made you recognize that, and why is it so important for you to raise your kid a different way?
Yeah, so I started my spiritual journey about 6 years ago. And so I started to see more and more of as a lot of people would see it as conspiracies in quotations, but we slowly find out they're more and more of the truth that has been hidden and sneakily placed in different areas that for those who are more aware, for those who are more connected, you're like, plain as day, I can see that there's something wrong. But I never really knew how all of the hidden agendas would affect motherhood until I got into that space and I experienced postpartum depression and anger and anxiety, and I was just not happy. I wasn't happy being a mom. There was times where I would cry to my husband saying, I don't know if I can do this. All I want to do is just pick up and run away. And the sleeping wasn't working. She had really bad acid reflux. She was a terrible sleeper at the beginning. And if you guys have ever gone just 2 days without sleep and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to rip someone's head off. Like imagine almost a full year of that. I honestly don't know how I survived that.
Aww.
And it really takes a toll on your mental clarity, your patience, and everything else that you need to be the best mom for your child. And so I started doing some healing on the postpartum. And I realized that, oh my gosh, I'm creating this. I'm creating the postpartum because of my own limiting beliefs of well, it allows someone to take care of me because all the attention went to my daughter. What about me? Right. So it gave that attention back to me. And that way I didn't have to use my voice to ask for what I wanted, which a lot of women have problems with.
Yeah.
You guys can agree, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Like throat chakra close to the
Yep.
extreme.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And so it gave me the opportunity, that green slip, to have people give me what I needed without having to ask for help. They saw me struggling. They saw me crying. They saw me having those anger outbursts. And with that, I started changing how I was showing up for my daughter. And I realized, why am I following a set sleep schedule for her when it wasn't obviously working and we were fighting to have her go to bed? Why am I formula feeding her when I know it doesn't work for her? She has a dairy intolerance. So why am I going to continue to feed her in that way? Among so many other things. And I just kind of went down the rabbit hole. And one day in meditation, it came to me that there has been this massive disconnect between moms and their children because Google has taken over.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you have any problem,
Absolutely.
especially in motherhood, do a quick Google search and it'll tell you a sleep regression. Maybe they're going through like growth spurt, they're teething, and that's why they're not sleeping. Or maybe they're not eating because they're not making enough milk, so you have to formula feed. And I realized that all of it was a freaking lie. It was all bullshit. And it was taking away so much power from me as a mom that, okay, why would I swaddle my daughter? Right. And I swaddled her at the beginning. And then I realized she hated it. Like at probably around like 3 weeks old, she's already starting to climb out of that swaddle. No matter how many swaddles we got her, we went through so many different ones.
Oh my gosh.
And she would just crawl out. She wanted to be free. So why am I going to continue to force her into being swaddled? Because that's what Google says is what kids want and it makes them feel safer. No. We were never swaddled in the womb. Yes, we were in a tight space, but we were moving and grooving and kicking and punching. And so I realized that all of it's a lie. And the biggest lie of all was that we as moms have lost that innate connection, that sacred bond between our children that allows us to have unwavering trust and confidence in the decisions that we make, to know how to read our kids' energy and know exactly what they need and meet their specific needs. And then add in as well that I found out that I had a new earth child, and like Google couldn't help me at all. And so I really had to there's no handbook on raising a new earth kid. And so that's why I'm creating one. I'm creating the handbook of how to raise your new earth child, because it's going to be vastly different than raising any other generation. So that is my long story of why I'm so over the lack of connection.
Love it. And you say that Maya is a new earth child. Can you just go a little bit more in depth and explain to our audience what is a new earth child, and if there's any signs that they can recognize to also agree that their child may be a new earth child as well?
Yes. So new earth children, they go by many names. They go by rave kids, rainbow kids, indigo children, golden children. And it's a group, it's categorizing kids who are so connected, so aware, they are tapped in, they are more spirit than they are energy, and they have the intuitive abilities that I know, at least for myself, like deep down, I'm like, damn, I wish I had that when I was a kid. I wish I had that now. My daughter's opening portals, and I can talk more about that later, but she's opening portals all the time. And it's like,
amazing.
That is so cool, even though I've lost a decent amount of things, but it's so cool. And so these children they have a bigger auric field, meaning the auric field is the energy that is around their body, and they hold on to a lot more energy. They're more energy sensitive. So some of the signs, and I have a new earth child checklist, which goes through a lot more, but some of the main ones are they have have a lot of trouble sleeping. And that's because they could be doing more work in the astral realm. I know my daughter for a while was doing healing in the astral world.
Love it.
I have a couple of clients that their children couldn't sleep because they were seeing a lot of spirits in the room. So they're able to tune into that as well. It could also be that just holding on to all the energy from the day and they don't know how to release it. So they really have trouble sleeping. That's like the biggest sign. And again, Google will tell you it's sleep regression, sleep train, do all the things to make them independent. But really, these children just need actually more safety, more support, because they are, it's almost like they haven't gotten used to being on this third plane yet, right? In this physical world. So they're like, I don't know how to handle this. I want to sleep. I'm tired, but I just don't feel safe enough to sleep. Another really big thing is that they'll be really fussy. My daughter has big emotions, big emotions. Like it shocked me sometimes, because she just, if she doesn't get her way, she'll throw a tantrum. And she was doing this at like 10 months, and I was like, "Ma, is this normal?" She's like, "Well, you never really did that." And I was like, that's a sign right there. Something is up, because she, again, these new birth children, they don't know how to fully express themselves. So mentally, they're older than they actually are, but because they can't physically tell you what they want, or if at this point my daughter wasn't walking, so she couldn't actually go physically get what she wanted, she would throw tantrums, because she'd be like, "Why don't you understand me?" Right?
Yeah.
So that's another huge sign. And the third one, and again, there's so much more in the new birth child checklist, but the third big sign is that they are really sensitive to energy. So if you go out in crowds, they may be really clingy to you, right? When they come home, they might have a lot of energy. And again, Google will tell you, oh, they're just overstimulated. Yeah, but when you think about it from the energetic perspective, it's that they're holding on to too much and they don't know how to get rid of it. And because they have a bigger auric field, they're picking up on so much more. So those are the three main signs that you have a new birth child, among so many more that you can check out. And it's free checklist. So I want all mamas to know that if you have a new birth child, Google's not going to help you. So take a look at that checklist, and hopefully it'll give you that reassurance that I need to do something different. And then, yeah, there's a path and journey for you once you figure out you have a new birth child.
I love that.
Awesome.
It's so important, especially for young moms today, raising children in today's society, because it is not easy. I know, as late 20-year-olds who are old souls, it is a challenge being in today's world. So I could just imagine the pressure and challenges that you face on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, and then also what you were saying, these maybe check marks for the new earth children, they could get like almost misdiagnosed as, maybe my kid has ADHD or ADD, but it's like, no, your child does not have that. It's just your child is even more special because he or she is a new earth child.
Yeah. And I love that you brought that up, because it is so common now for like I read a post somewhere, and I can't remember the actual stats, but the percentage of kids who are now having ADHD and autism has skyrocketed. And we don't wonder why. We don't think like, hey,
We don't.
maybe no. And ADHD actually, and this is going to burst some people's bubbles, but ADHD was actually created by the pharmaceutical company. So it's not actually even a condition. It's a condition that was created so they can meditate. I wish they could meditate kids. So they could medicate kids.
Yeah, just so they can make more money.
Exactly. So it was created so we labels kids as ADHD or autism, when maybe they are just holding on to so much energy that they can't actually verbalize it. Maybe that's why they're not speaking and they have some speech delayed development. Maybe they're so active and running around and they can't sit still because their human design blueprint says that they actually need to have short bursts of activities. They're not meant to just sit down and do an activity. I know for my daughter, she can't sit still when she's eating. Like, she's a little girl that like, I need to be standing up, I need to be like rocking, I need to be playing with things, and I'll eat as well. And it triggers my mom, because she's like, you sat down and you sat in your seat and you ate, and if you didn't eat, or then you would just leave, right? And I just wouldn't feed you until you sat down in your seat. And I could do that way, but my daughter was showing me resistance, because she's telling me this is not what's working for me. And I could have either listened to my mom, because that's what the old earth way of doing things and the old paradigm way, or listen to my daughter, because she's telling me very clearly that something's not working for her. And so when you start to heal that bond between you and your child and work with your child's energetics and their blueprint, then you can actually support them in the highest and best way. And makes motherhood so much easier.
Exactly, because you're just more in tune with your child
and yourself as well. because mothers and children, we're so connected. And why are we going to go against the grain instead of just going inward and using our intuition, using the gifts that God gave us to continue to raise our children and our offspring?
And you know what? Here's the thing. So many moms have fallen into that place of fear because it's all around them, right? We have lost our ability to even free birth. That's been taken away from us because it's
Absolutely.
now categorized as unsafe because there have been deaths in the past, but that's been centuries ago, generations ago, when they didn't have the hygiene practices that they have now, where they didn't have the tools and awareness and health that they have now. And the medical system has now taken over the mom's power to have her child in the most natural way. Because when you have your own child and you catch your own child, again, I didn't get a chance to do this because I was in that old paradigm before I had my daughter, but I know for my next one I will be. But when you catch your child, there's something there that you have to have trust to birth alone, right? There's
Absolutely.
no, like, you have to be able to breathe through the pain. And when I had my daughter, I didn't take any meds. I ended up giving birth on my parents' bathroom floor. So that was a whole other story. But you are so connected to your body and its power. And instead of having to push because doctors say, hey, it's time to push because I have another person in the waiting room that needs to come in and
We
replace
gotta
you,
wrap this up.
right?
Exactly.
Instead of that, you just wait for your child and your body to tell you it is ready. And there's actually been studies where you can breathe out your child, where there's no pain, no pushing. He or she will literally just fall out. And people hear that and think, oh my God, that never is going to happen. I was in like 12 hours of labor. Yeah, but it's because that you were trying to force something and speed up the process of something that was it was working perfectly until you tried to intervene. So something like that, taking that away from moms, now you're starting off your connection and your journey with your child in that place of doubt, in that place of fear, in that place of worry, because now all the power is in the people who are delivering your baby to you, right? You've given everything to them instead of claiming it yourself.
It's true. And I feel that I'm sure that you'll agree with this, that the medical system has taken away the beauty of bringing another child into the world, or the beauty of birth, where in other cultures we have these sacred ceremonies that include drumming, maybe some Palo Santo and sage. And I know I'm hoping that when I do give birth, I can have a beautiful ceremony, whether it be Abby or my mom drumming. So hoping that is what in my mind will be able to transpire. But God always has another plan, or the baby always has another plan as well. But yeah, I feel the medical system has definitely taken away the beauty of birth.
Yeah, and almost put like a traumatizing or like a sterile environment
or fear
and fear around birth, where you should not be fearful for bringing your child into this world.
Then the child is also going to absorb that fear one way or another.
Yeah. And I've worked with many clients and many women, moms, who their birth experience was absolutely horrible. I know even myself that my birth experience, I had her at home and it was still horrible. And what you mentioned about the rituals, one of the things that I did with my daughter is, because right now my placenta is still in the freezer at my parents' place
I love
because
it.
I haven't had time to go out in nature and bury it. But burying the placenta and especially the umbilical cord is a ritual that used to be done postpartum, like immediately after you had your child. But now the placenta is, I'm going to say this in quotations, thrown out. It's really sold, but we're just not going to talk about that. And so what I would do is that I would help and guide not my moms, but the moms in my containers through energetically burying the placenta and the umbilical cord. And even just from that act alone, the connection between mom and child drastically improved. And that's because what you're doing is that you're offering what used to nourish your child to earth, But the really beautiful part is the umbilical cord that is not talked about a lot. So the umbilical cord connects you and your child. So when you bury it, you are symbolically giving your child to Mother Gaia, to this third plane. So it really allows you to release the what I call the shadow bond between you and your child, which is when moms end up getting toxically attached to their kids and the kids end up growing up being toxically attached to their mom, and so they can't, the mom can't see that this is a separate being. This is not mine, right? So you're giving, I'm just a conduit. Now I'm giving my child to Mother Gaia to raise her, and I'm just going to be her teacher and mentor. So it takes away that toxic energy between the mom and child. And just from that alone, you are also releasing the trauma from the birth, no matter what the birth is like. And the moms who have gone through this have noticed such improvements. They feel that deeper love for their kids because now the child isn't stuck, because what happens is that, and again, a lot of kids feel this, you might have felt this as well, that you don't feel like you belong. Kids
Oh,
will come
absolutely.
in and not feel like they belong. And actually, Taylor, you did a theta healing on my daughter Maya because she
Yeah.
wasn't sleeping, and you channeled that. She doesn't feel like she belongs here on earth. And that is because I hadn't done that ritual yet. And that's when Creator said, you gotta energetically give her up to Mother Gaia, to this third plane. And from that, now she hasn't had that belief. Now she's more grounded. Now she's more rooted. She's calmer because you're releasing that trauma. You're giving her up. You're giving her what she needs, or your child, he or she, what they need. And so just a practice like this is so powerful for healing that bond that the medical system has taken away.
That's beautiful, honestly. That's amazing.
So when
Have
you guys
you?
do have your kids, I'll
Yes,
do that
yes.
ritual for you guys.
I love it. Thank you. Have you felt any resistance towards giving the placenta and umbilical cord back to Mother Earth?
No, it's felt great because I'm doing a lot of work on myself, and I make sure that I'm doing a lot of the inner work with the moms in my containers as well. So we're doing the belief reprogramming, and
Beautiful.
we're connecting with their own inner child and doing all that healing so they can be in a place where they feel it's safe to let go. It's safe to, because in a sense, you are giving your power away, right, to Mother Gaia, but it's almost like it's what deep in your heart you knew you had to do. So it's that inner knowing that this is okay, this is safe. So we do the work on that. And I did the work on myself too. And because I trust in my intuition, I knew if this is the message I'm receiving, it's going to be good. It's going to be transformational. And it has been. So now I use it with all my clients.
I love that. It's beautiful. And we're able just to see everything come full circle.
Mm-hmm.
What has been one of the biggest challenges besides sleep with raising your baby?
One of the biggest challenges has been tuning out the external voices and noise from parents, other moms, quote unquote experts, Google, all telling me something completely different than how I'm raising her. And that's really what I help my moms with too in my containers is having that unwavering trust and unshakable confidence to parent against the norm, because your new earth child needs that. There is no manual, and the biggest challenge has been to really come back to trusting myself, because I spent so many years not, because it's been so much easier to not have to. Again, the world is created in a way that, at least the Western world, is created in a way that you don't have to trust your intuition. You have Google, we have instant gratification. Now that Amazon's out, like Netflix is out, there's nothing there that gives us that void to really sit with ourselves and ask, like, what do we want? So that's been the biggest challenge for me, is to really allow myself to come back to trusting my intuition. And it's taken lots of healings, meditation, reprogramming, finding all those bottom beliefs and the conditions that I was living through. And so this is what I am doing for my newest program that I'm creating, which you guys are actually the first to know about it. It's called The Awakened Mother, and it's really about bringing moms back to their true self, trusting their intuition, being connected to their child, connected to source, connected to Mother Gaia, really being in that feminine energy and releasing all those old programs and beliefs that keep you in that place of fear. And you need to be an awakened mother to raise a new earth child because they are going to test you. Let me just say that. Maya is my biggest teacher. She's helped me grow so much spiritually.
Aw.
But it was only because I was aware of that I was doing the work, that I was able to actually see them as lessons, not as annoyances or a challenge in my life or a problem, but a beautiful gift that she is giving me. So that program, that course that's coming out is going to be helping moms to release those limiting beliefs the same way I went through the process to help me connect with my daughter.
That's amazing, because I'm sure for some mothers who are raising new earth children that they don't know, they can probably form some resentment towards their child, or this anger towards their child, where you're becoming so disconnected and you're almost breaking that bond.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head with that one. That's actually one of the biggest things that moms come into my container is talking about, is that they're just angry. They don't want to be here anymore. They don't know what to do and they feel overwhelmed and lost. And my job and my purpose is to take the guessing game out of that, to help you take the guessing game out of raising your new earth children. Because once that guessing game is removed, now it's just bliss and lessons. And yes, they may still trigger you, but it's so different, the connection between you two, that yes, they trigger you, but you see them as the individual, the being of light, the beautiful gifts that they share. You know how to support them. You have that confidence to do so. You receive the messages from source, your higher self, their energetic field with ease and grace. And that is what I want for all moms to feel.
It's so important to stay connected to yourself and your intuition and really tune out that external pressure, because it could be such a challenge when you want to just give up and say, oh, you know what, mom, yeah, I am going to listen to you.
Yeah. Or everything Google says, yep, I'm just going to do that because that's what I'm quote unquote supposed to do.
Or programmed to do.
Yeah. So have you received much backlash because of the way you're raising your child?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There was a couple of months ago, and Taylor might remember this, when I think I told you about it. So I made a thread post about how I had healed my daughter's measles without giving her any meds or vaccines, and how I chose not to medicate her because I can heal her with energy and clearing her energetic field and all the natural holistic ways. Oh my God, the backlash that I got. People were calling me a child abuser and I should have my child taken away from me, and like that I'm a terrible parent. I went through a little bit of a dark period because I was like, oh my God, I am such an amazing mom. How could people say this? They don't even know what I'm doing. And it also saddened me to see how many people are still living in that old paradigm, that old fear, and to think about the kids who are also going to suffer from that because their needs aren't met. So I get lots of backlash, even from my mom. She'll see me parent Maya in a certain way, and I know it triggers her belief systems because she thinks it should be done a different way. Now I kind of preface it whenever I meet new mom friends. I kind of give them a little heads up, like, this is who I am. If you're okay with that, yeah, we'll be friends. If you're not, I totally understand. You can walk the other way, because some people are still scared by that. And they're scared of those who are going to be parenting differently because it triggers their own beliefs about what's possible. But I love it. Bring it on. I'm going to challenge you because it's my job to wake up more moms to what they can truly do and that they have new earth kids, because I'm not doing it just for the moms. I'm doing it for the kids. I'm doing it for the next generation because they deserve so much more than what we are giving them when we are living and acting and parenting through fear.
Amen to that. Oh my gosh. You could not have said that better. Oh my gosh. I love that.
You quote me on that.
Yes. And that's exactly how we want to raise our children, is especially in today's world where there's so much, I want to use the word evil out there, and it's so easy to get sucked into that, but you have to stay so strong in your core, in your values, and who you are as a woman, as a mother, and use that for the future generation. Do that for your child.
I love that. Just this morning, I was telling my daughter that I need to be a better mom for her. And I know that I'm a great mom, but I was just talking to her because I realized the other day some of the beliefs that I had around my worth and my value. And I did the digging work and I told her, Maya, I have to step up my game for you because I also, being a theta healer, I know how beliefs are formed in children. So I have to ensure that I am showing her what it feels like to be empowered, to love yourself, to be confident, to set healthy boundaries, to speak your truth, because I want her to instill those beliefs and feel so certain about who she is that she has a life that she desires. She doesn't have to go to therapy and go through all the healing that our generation and previous generations are starting to go through now. And so because I know how beliefs are formed, I told her, I was like, I have to step up my game. I have to love myself more, see my value more, share my gifts more, because I am doing this not for me, even though I do benefit from it, but I'm doing this for you. And this is why I made a claim. I made a claim to the universe. I'm pretty sure I made a claim to a couple of my containers too. I want all moms to be theta healers. That is my mission. Because once you know how beliefs are formed, you will change up how you're showing up for your child, what you're saying to them, what their experience will be. And then as well, if you do have those times when you have a freak out and you maybe yell or you get frustrated, you also know how to reprogram their beliefs and release the trauma. So your child is always getting healing. They don't have to wait until they're an adult and they're like, oh yeah, when I was 2 years old, I instilled the trauma that I didn't feel worthy because I had a sibling. Just an example. You can support them when they have a sibling being born or whatever they're going through. And that is my mission, to make every mom, especially new birth moms, a theta healer.
Yeah, take care of the child and just
Nurture them.
Nurture them.
And I would say we're still living with my family, but as a theta healer, I feel like I just observe everything. And I look at everything from that third person perspective, and I can see the trauma, or not necessarily the trauma that my dad went through. But yeah, I would say it's somewhat trauma, not
even just as healers. You just see how they kind of passed their trauma onto us, or how we were raised, and how that's affecting us now. Where
we even had this conversation, I believe it was yesterday, about with dieting and diet culture, how with children, with their parents, if they are choosing to lose or gain weight,
you have to be so careful with the words how you talk to yourself, the self-talk, how your relationship with food is, because your kids will just pick up on that immediately. And if you have a poor relationship with food and yourself, that could make your kid develop an eating disorder. So you just have to be so aware of
everything.
Yeah. And it's not easy. However,
but when we do have these tools, we're able to shift that and use it to benefit our children.
Like, since knowing that the brain doesn't pick up on the word don't, I stopped saying that to my daughter. And so instead of saying don't touch that, because her mind hears it as touch that, knowing that if I continue to say that and she touches it, now all of a sudden she's like, do I trust my intuition? Because I got in trouble for something that I heard you tell me to do. Right? So it's even thinking about things like that. How can we continue to nurture our new earth kids' intuitive abilities? Because a lot of us as adults, we lost it because our parents told us there's no such thing as spirits. We were forced to go hug relatives to say thank you when our intuition said, I don't feel comfortable doing that. And yeah, you guys are nodding because chances are it happened to you. It happened to so many generations because past generations were in the people-pleasing era, right? Having to be the good girl, the good boy, and needing to be seen and not heard. And so there's so many things that was separating us as kids from our intuitive abilities. And us as awakened moms of these new birth kids, we have to do everything possible to ensure that they remain connected because they are here for such a bigger mission and purpose to raise the conscious collective and make massive paradigm shifts. But they need to trust their intuition to do that. And it's our jobs as moms, as mentors with that healthy, sacred bond with them to be doing that.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I know from previous experiences when we were growing up, just as Italians, you had to hug and kiss every single relative and uncle. And as we've grown older, the shadows have been exposed. And it's like, oh, that's why when I was 5, I didn't want to say hi to creepy uncle X, Y, and Z. And it's like, oh, okay, I see it. I see it now. And it shifts your entire perception.
Kids are so intuitive. They know like before we do as adults. And it's our job to take, and this is why we need to know our own people-pleasing mentalities. We need to know where we are dishonoring and disrespecting our kids because we're afraid to speak our truth and set those boundaries and say, actually, no, creepy uncle, you're not going to touch my child, right? Or no, because like there's so many times when people will just come up to Maya, and this is another sign of a newer child. They just want to touch her. They want to be in her energy. Like it's so magnetizing.
Yeah.
But adults don't realize, and again, this is past generation work. Adults don't realize that kids also need autonomy over their body. They need boundaries. And so people would come up to Maya and just like touch her face or touch her foot or something. And for a little bit of time, I wouldn't say anything. And I realized this is my people pleasing. I don't want to say no and create new ways because this has come from my childhood of not being able to do that. Right. And so when you begin to understand your own belief systems, you'll see what's stopping you from being that awakened mom for your child. Because now I'm like, no one touches my daughter. And I always just say in the nicest way, wait for her to welcome you into her space before you touch her.
That's so important. That is so important because that, like we said, it carries on to adulthood. Like
and then you could just fast forward that to when they are forming friendships, relationships with partners, and how that can lead to certain instances. It's so important to create those boundaries.
Every mom needs to be a theta healer because you'll know how to release spirits, which is huge. You know how to balance our chakras, release trauma, do past generation stuff, and also you then know how to heal yourself as a mom.
Exactly.
And it's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree.
100%.
Yeah. And it's like we were saying, even when if you're with family, your extended family, and you have your newborn baby, it's so common to just pass the baby to person. It's like, how do you know that baby wants to be held by you? Maybe they just want their mom. Like that's just, you got to have those boundaries.
It's so true. So say your child is a new earth child, and what are some ways that moms can encourage them, whether it be seeing spirits, opening portals? What are ways that moms can encourage that it's okay?
The first thing is to work on your own belief system as a mom of what's possible. Because if you've been conditioned from, chances are, your parents that these things aren't possible, that it's not safe, that it is crazy, or it's going to create like sickness, dis-ease, mental issues later on, if they're participating in these things now, you got to clear that up because they're going to feel your fear. And whatever you're going to say to them, if you're going to say, oh, there's nothing there, well, again, now you're putting the child in a position to say, do I trust my intuition? Because I see a spirit clear as day, but Mama Bear, who apparently is always right, or I get in trouble, right? Like things like this, I have to listen to her. I have to stop talking to them. So one of the things you can do is work on yourself. The next thing, in order to encourage your child to continue with these spiritual gifts, because there's so many of them that they have that are just mind-blowing. Like the fact that my daughter's opening portals.
Amazing.
I'm sorry, what? Like, it is just so cool. And so the other part would be knowing how to communicate with the energetic field of your child and whatever else is there. So again, knowing as a theta healer how to connect with spirits, how to move portals, how to zip up her auric field, all of these different energetic practices allows me to support her so she can continue to explore her new gifts in this third plane without maybe attracting spirits onto her, right? Without feeling overwhelmed by the energy of the portals, without having disturbed sleep because she's doing astral plane work. I know how to give her, and for example, my daughter, I make sure that I put a spell on her every night. I say spell because it doesn't resonate to say prayer.
Yeah.
It pretty much is a spell when you're doing from that theta state, like you're stating something's going to happen. So I say a prayer for her every night, and let me see if I can remember. It's, as I lay you down to sleep, I say this spell for you. May angels, guides, and spirits above all watch over you. And as you sleep, may you find peace and heal what has been hurt. May your chakras be balanced, your aura be cleansed, and your energy levels restored. And when you wake, may you be happy and ready to take on the day and show gratitude for all the things that magically come your way. So that's what I say to her every night and every nap time. And what's happening is that by saying that, by putting that spell on her, I'm doing what needs to be done to create the energetic hygiene so she can sleep better. So she feels safe, she feels supported, so she can do that healing and that detox that we all go through. But we forget that kids go through it as well. Right? So it's certain things like that. I zip up her auric field before we go out anywhere. When she does see spirits, I start to ask her, and asking is a huge way to support new earth children. It's not, this is what you have to do. What would you like? And even from a young age, I gave my daughter options of, do you want to wear this outfit or this outfit? And she would either just look at it when she was like super young, and I'm talking about like 2 months old. And now she'll just grab for it. And so now I ask her if she's starting to point at a corner in our room or she's starting to cry, I'll ask her, do you see a spirit? And she'll say, mm-hmm. And so I'm like, do you want to release it? She'll go, mm-hmm. Or she'll say no, like she doesn't speak yet, right? But she knows. These New Earth kids are so aware. They just can't verbalize it or do the things that their mind and their energetic field and their consciousness can perceive. So giving them options is also great, but knowing the energy work and how to do it and doing it is so important.
Amazing. How excited are you for when she does start to speak?
Oh my gosh. Part of me is super excited, and part of me is like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle all the wisdom that she's going to be channeling.
Oh my gosh.
Like, she's going to be saying things that I'm like, how do you know that? Like, I just, yeah.
There's an Instagram account that our mom follows, and it's a mom and her child. She has a son, and she posts everything that he channels, and he's also a New Earth child as well.
I love that.
It's unbelievable.
It's awesome. It's crazy how these they just channeled, and they're so gifted, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's our jobs as mom to ensure that we are supporting them in that and supporting their spiritual development, because that's the one piece that is missing in childhood development, right? The old earth is physical, mental, emotional. We're forgetting the spiritual part, the energetic part. We don't talk about the development of our child chakras. We don't talk about the development of their belief systems. That part is missed, but it's so important, especially for New Earth kids, because they're able to understand all that more and need more of that help.
Exactly. And you can't find that on Google.
No. You can find it with me. You can find it with
Yes.
other awakened moms. All of my containers are focused on helping your child's spiritual development, helping you become the awakened mom, because that's a piece that's not on Google.
Exactly. So I do have to ask, so how did you know Maya was opening portals?
Because I kept losing things, and they would, the best time, like the biggest confirmation, because again, everyone was like, oh, you're just like, it's the mom brain and you're forgetting things. I was like, you know what, maybe it is, but the amount of soother that we lost is insane. And then the other day, I was going for a walk with my husband and my daughter, and we usually have a string that attaches to the soother. And she really wanted it off. I was like, okay, I'll take it off for you. We walked a couple steps, and I looked down. And I'm like, Maya, where'd it go? Like, where the heck is your string? And so, okay, we turned around. We're looking back. We only walked about 20 steps from when I took it off of her. It's not in the stroller. It's not on the floor. It's literally, it disappeared. And I was like, okay, child. What witchcraft are you doing? Yeah. And the fact that my husband was there too, I was like, okay, you see this as well, right? It's absolutely gone. Like, this is confirmation she's opening portals. And he even got a couple messages that she was opening portals in the room that she's sleeping in right now. And so a bunch of spirits were actually coming out of the portals. And so that's what was disturbing her sleep. So we moved that portal. But yeah, that plus the string literally just disappearing out of thin air. I was like, yeah, she's doing it.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for her and for your family, just to see the beautiful journey that you guys are on. And oh my gosh. And thank you for allowing us to just be able to be there and be part of it.
You are so welcome. When she gets old enough, she's going to be meeting you guys.
Oh my gosh, we can't wait.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so excited.
So before we sign off, where can our community find you?
Yeah, I usually hang out on Instagram, The Wild Mom. That is the place that I usually am. And you can email me if you want, send me a DM. I have tons of free resources for you to check out helping your child sleep, figuring out if you have a newer child, starting using energy healing on them, as well as multiple containers where you can really strengthen this and master these gifts so you can be the best mom for your newer kids.
Thank you so much for just sharing all your wisdom, and we're so honored that you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Soul Over It. We are your hosts, Taylor and Abby Scarpello. Join us weekly every Thursday for a dose of inspiration, empowerment, biohacking tips, and some exercise for the soul right here on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. If you're tuning in on Apple, don't forget to leave us a review, and we'll see you next week.